This is gonna be so much fun. As long as it stays up. As long as we stay up. Hey, friend. Hey, girl. Hey. Good evening. Good evening. I'm gonna wait probably about 30 seconds, and then I'm gonna go ahead and get started. Cause this is our talk after work. Well, I don't know what time y'all got off work, but I just got off work. Just got home. Just sat in the chair. And was like, hey, it's time to talk. So I'm ready if y'all ready. So happy to see you up here, my girl. Surprised you not asleep. I know you like to sleep. Well, I like to sleep too. What's going on, Trey? Hello, hello. Working it out tonight, huh? All right, well, yep, absolutely. We're going to go ahead and get started. What's going on, James? Good to see you in the building again. We did notice your presence not here last Thursday. Happy to have you with us again. So as always, hey Tara, good evening. As always, I start off with a greeting. Good evening, happy Tuesday. Of course, I'm Dr. Nicole J, your confidence coach, helping you to discover ways to increase your confidence so that you're able to go after the life that you desire and you deserve. Wow, Trey, yeah. Be safe out there. So the quotes that I have for you guys today as we get started, the first one is by Norman Vincent Peale. And I'm not sure if you've ever read one of his books called The Power of Positive Thinking. But his quote says, change your thoughts and you change your world. So that's very fitting for what we're talking about tonight. And then the second quote is by C.S. Lewis, a pretty amazing writer. You can't go back and change the beginning, but you can start where you are and change the ending. Did you know that? You can't go back and change the beginning, but you can start where you are and change the ending. I think that's powerful simply because a lot of people, including myself, oftentimes have some level of regret when it comes to decisions we've made, the life that we've lived, where we come from. Hey, Deontay. And it can weigh so heavy on us when we don't realize that the past isn't, what comes to mind? I'm sure all of us have seen The Lion King, right? Rafiki, when he talks about things being in the past, that's very true. Like, we can't hold on to things that are in the past. We can't change that. All we can do is move forward, learn from what happened in the past, and keep moving. That's so important that we learn to keep moving. And so today we're talking about mindset shifts. Absolutely, Deontay, super powerful. And so mindset in essence, and this is kind of like my little definition. Y'all don't have to write this down or nothing, is pretty much how you think the majority of the time. So if most of the time your thoughts are not empowering, or your thoughts are things that are not serving you, right? No matter whether they're thoughts about yourself, about your life, about the way things go. My dad, ever since I was younger, would say, and right now I cannot, Murphy's Law. I was about to say I cannot remember the law, but he would always quote Murphy's Law, saying anything that can go wrong will go wrong, and usually does. Any of y'all live like that? Like, just like live with the mindset that things are just going to happen, that going to go wrong. Not that, I can impact the way things go in my day. Of course, things are going to go wrong. That's not untrue. But it shouldn't be part of your fixed mindset. You shouldn't be fixed on that thought process. Oh, I'm going to buy a car. Something's probably going to go wrong. Oh man, I just got into this beautiful relationship. I know something's about to go wrong every time. We can't live like that. And so when we talk about that, we talk about mind shifts, sometimes our mindset is that which is opposing to what we really want. It's opposite, right? So we might say out of our mouths and really desire success in our careers, in our business, in our relationships, our marriages, but our actions and our thoughts are they go against what we want. And so anytime that happens, it becomes almost impossible because it's us having war within ourselves, right? You can't have two opposing things in the same space and something not have to give up, something not have to lose. So even in your own mind, there's always a battle of, well, I see this situation, I see I see the way things look, but I choose to believe differently. I choose to act based on what I can contribute. And that's just the beginning of really learning and understanding mindset. And that if your mind does not automatically go to solutions and what can improve and how this can be better, it's time for a mindset shift, y'all. And so mindset is super important because we should always be in a posture to not only learn, but to grow. And people who think and live this way are more likely to succeed. You won't find somebody who's successful in life who doubted themselves the whole way. Yeah, the doubts are going to come. The opposing thoughts will come, but then you have to take authority over those thoughts in order for you to overcome them and keep moving, right? Move closer to what you want and further away from the things that you don't want. Because the more you say what you want, the more your thoughts are focused on what you want, that's when you start drawing closer to it. And if we're always talking about what we don't want, guess what we're going to see more of? What we don't want. I hope you know that. I hope you've seen that in your own life and even in the lives of those around you. People who are saying, I always fail, I never get it right. Those are the people who struggle to get what they want. They struggle to succeed. They struggle to win. And so you got to watch that. Mindset is super important because it dictates the way your life turns out. You can't control a lot of things in life, right? But you can control what happens up here. You have to. Because if you don't, that means your environment is controlling you. That means the things around you are controlling how you live your life. And I hope this makes sense. And if anything I'm saying doesn't make sense, please feel free to comment and share. Even if you have the same, opinion or you have something you want to contribute. I don't like talking to myself, which is why I'm appreciating you, Deontay, for talking back to me. He's saying big facts over here, right? Because I don't like talking to myself. I'm here talking with y'all. I like having conversations, right? I like talking to people who not only feel what I'm saying, but even if you don't feel what I'm saying, can have the dialogue to say, hey, I feel like you're missing something, or I thought it was this way. Thanks for helping me out. We're here. We're growing together, right? And so having a shift from one way of thinking to another, really dealing with your habits and your behaviors, because those are things that we carry with us pretty much our whole lives. The habits that we've picked up along the way, the behaviors that we've learned from our parents, our aunts, our uncles, our siblings, those things have a strong impact on the way we think. And they're what cause those behaviors and those habits to stay ingrained within us. Because we not only saw them, we made a conscious decision in our mind that either this is something that makes sense to me or this is something that I want to stay away from, right? And so changing those things, the mindsets, the habits, the behaviors, they don't change overnight. Nothing that we want that's permanent is going to change overnight. Because it takes repetition. It takes practice. It takes focusing on that thing that you want to have changed. You can't say today, oh my God, I learned how to be positive today. And you'll never be negative. You'll never have an issue with negativity or with thinking things or with doubting yourself or thinking things that may seem like they oppose what you want. It's still going to happen. But the more you do it, the more you practice, the more you're intentional about shifting your mindset, the easier it becomes and the more you start to see the difference in your life. Coach Claude said, totally on point. I needed to hear this tonight. Mindset shift is a practice that I must own. Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. And anytime I'm talking to you, I'm talking to myself too. There are ways that I need to shift the way I think. So I'm not preaching at you guys. I'm telling y'all, this is how we grow. This is how we get to the next level, right? And so when we're talking about mindset shift, there's some questions that I want you to consider. First, I want you to ask yourself, have you ever thought about the thoughts that you think? Like, really, have you ever sat back and thought, like, what I've been thinking today? Man, I thought a lot about how really good I'm doing on this project, how amazing I'm doing on this project. I thought a lot about how blessed I am to have the family I have. Or when you think about your thoughts, are you thinking about the things that are going to fail? Man, like, and I'll correct myself in saying that there's an ebb and flow to life, period. None of us are ever going to have 100% amazing days, right? Where everything goes our way, where our lives are perfect, where we have no stress, no struggle, no conflict. That's not realistic. But hey, how you doing? Oh, you are beautiful people. Thank you for showing up. Yeah, so there's not going to be a life where we're going to be without conflict, without opposition, without hard times, right? So the key to that is really embracing those things, understanding that even though it may not change immediately, it will change eventually. And that it takes effort from your part. It takes you to think about the thoughts that you're thinking and change them. Nobody can put thoughts in your head, especially as an adult. But we can change our thoughts. We can change the way we think. We can change our thought process. We can become more flexible, more open-minded, all of those things. So some questions to consider today. So first, ask yourself, am I satisfied with where I am in life right now? Those are, when you think about the thoughts that you think, that's something important that you want to take note of. Am I satisfied with my life? Am I satisfied with where I'm at, with what I'm doing, how I'm living, what I've accomplished? And you definitely don't have to answer that here. Deontay said, yes, some that don't understand you would love to help understand. Look, absolutely. Because that's why we're here, to learn and get understanding and and to have the discussion. Because sometimes we don't always have discussions like these, because sometimes when you don't agree with what other people think or feel, it can be difficult to have those conversations if they're not open-minded to them, right? So it's us. We have to be the open-minded ones, right? So question number 2, has my mindset changed from one stage of my life to the next? Are you still thinking the same way you thought when you were a teenager? Like, are you still thinking that I have to accomplish this, I have to go get that, or I want somebody to take care of me? Like, are your thoughts the same? Have they improved? Have they elevated at all? Like, just ask yourself. James said, can you ever be satisfied? Like, once you reach one level, it's time to go up to the next. So yes and no, right? You can be satisfied, but not be, I'm not going to say not be content. You can be content, but not stay where you're at. You can be content as in, man, like, I've reached this amazing level. But when you know that you have more work to do, you can't get stuck there. And that's not being satisfied or not being content, but that's understanding the vision. I hope that makes sense. Because being satisfied can mean, it's like when you're satiated, when you're full, you should be done eating. You should not want anything else because you're full. That doesn't mean you will never eat again. That just means for now, I'm satisfied. But there's so much more for me to take part of. So I'm not staying here. I'm not going to be full the rest of my life. She said, take care of me for 100 outings. Exactly. Where's Oprah? Coach Claude said, absolutely. I noticed that my mindset shifts and changes frequently. Is that normal? Yeah, as long as you're growing, that's absolutely normal. Now, here's where the issue can come in, Coach Claude, is if we find ourselves reverting back to old mindsets that don't serve us. But when they're changing and shifting and we're growing and being stretched, that is absolutely normal. Deontay said, you can be satisfied but not feel accomplished or have meaning. I'll say you can be content and not, and the way that I differentiate between contentment and being satisfied. Content, you can get stuck being content. So that's like people who, and this is just an example that popped in my head. Like, if this is you, definitely don't take it personally. There are some people that say after high school, I don't need to learn anything else. I'm going to get me a job, work the rest of my life, call it a day. They're content with the life that they've made for themselves in their head. That doesn't mean they're satisfied because they're still struggling. They're still not getting what the vision of what they've seen that they wanted, right? So yes, you can still climb ladders in corporate America. You can still, have a fulfilling life in corporate America. However, for some people, they'll get stuck there, not realizing that if at any day, any time, any moment they get dropped or fired, then they have nothing to fall back on. And it's the same thing if we only have one stream of income. We get content with where we are, and it makes it harder for us to grow. It makes it harder for us to shift. So when things happen, like COVID-19, right, it becomes difficult for us to make those changes in order for us to have, or to not feel stuck. Hope I answered your question. Hope I addressed your statement there, Deontay. He said, exactly. So the next question, am I achieving the goals I set for myself? So those are things that I want you to be thinking about, because if you're not achieving the goals, first of all, if you're not setting goals, that's the first shift that we have to make. Because if you aim for nothing, you will hit nothing, right? So are you hitting the goal? And maybe not all of them. Sometimes we'll fall short. But when I set goals, do I mostly hit them? Do I make goals that are attainable? And this is when we think about our thought processes and how we think. We have to take note of these things. We have to take note of not only what we're thinking, but how we're thinking, our processes, right? How do I usually look at life? What lens do I see things through? Can it change? Ask yourself that. And so we'll talk about 3 sets of mindset shifts this evening, right? So the first one is going to be, are they retainable? Oh, are you saying retainable or attainable? Because I think I was saying attainable. But are they retainable? I guess that's a good one too. Are your goals retainable? James says there seems to be a healthy balance between being at peace with where you are and yet not being satisfied and stuck there. Setting goals has to be essential to help push our mindset shifts. Powerful, man. That's good. That's good. There has to be a healthy balance. So you don't get stuck, but at the same time, you're not always thinking that I don't have enough. But the thing that ties those two together is, like I mentioned, seeing the bigger picture, the bigger vision. And that'll keep you from being content where you are. That'll also keep you focused on where you're going. And so the three main sets of mindsets we'll talk about. The first one is going from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset. And many of us might have heard these things before, right? But I want to talk about it tonight. The second set is going from a negative to a positive mindset. And then the third one is going from a scarcity to an abundance mindset. Remember, what is a person's mindset of a healthy balance? Well, Deontay, a healthy balance is that which pushes you forward. Any mindset of somebody that's holding them back, that's keeping them from expressing or experiencing the fullness of what they desire or the fullness of life, that's not a healthy balance. And like I said earlier, in life there's ebb and flow. We go through highs and lows, right? We go through moments of extreme excitement and moments of stress, conflict. And so what helps maintain and balance that is focusing on what helps me move forward. It's like when people lose a loved one, and sometimes we get stuck there, not realizing that if we get stuck in that one place and thinking that I don't know how I'm going to live or make it without this person, that can very well be a valid thought in your mind, right? In your heart, you can absolutely feel that. But your life has not ended. Your life is still, it has to continue to progress. Someone can have their core belief. That's true. That's very true, Deontay. Someone can absolutely have their core belief and not see it your way and not think that, and we'll get to that mindset in a second, because that really has to do with a fixed mindset versus a growth mindset. Matter of fact, let's get in it now, right? So when we talk about a fixed mindset, we're talking about people who might be hesitant or resistant to growth or change, right? Meaning, so if you think about something that's stationary, that no matter what is going on around them, how much things are evolving and changing and adjusting around them, they feel like the world is going to end if they have to shift, right? A person who is stuck in the fixed mindset, we hold on to old patterns, old mindsets, old ways of doing things. Man, this is the so this is the funny thing. I think I mentioned to y'all one of my lives before that I have to have a GPS. No matter where I'm going, I could be going around it. Well, maybe not around the corner to the store, but even going to work. And I do that because traffic happens, construction work happens, and I need to be able to be rerouted to the fastest route, right? So when we think about the ability to recalibrate, that's more of the growth mindset. A fixed mindset is like, there's one way to do this. And if I have to shift, I don't know what I'm going to do. If I have to change the way I think, I don't know if I can. That's where we're at with, for those of us that may have a fixed mindset. And sometimes a fixed mindset can even be, I'm fixed on this goal and I'm not willing to move. So it's not in totality, a fixed mindset is not a negative concept. But the majority of the time, if it keeps us, and this is the rule of thumb that I'm using, if it keeps us from progressing, from growing, from stretching, it's not helping us. It's doing more harm than good, right? And so this is dangerous because sometimes a fixed mindset can tip over into a fearful mindset. We can become afraid of doing things differently. We don't know, exactly how to. Not only do we not know how, we fear that if things change, if we change, then it might cause us to lose some things. And guess what? Sometimes those things that we might lose are the things we needed to lose. Those are things that should have dropped off a long time ago, more often than not. But it takes us to shift our thinking in order for us to have those things that are for us. And so then we talk about Oh, yes. So I almost forgot this part, right? So when we have a fixed mindset, we also struggle to be stretched. Have you ever been there, or have you ever felt that way? That like I don't want to make another adjustment. There are some of us who have been in natural disasters, or have had to leave our home and move somewhere else, or have had family members pass, and we've had to step into their shoes and kind of carry on their behalf, right? And that can be, I am new. Who are you? I know who you are. You look like Shanitra. Hey girl, hey. But hey Stephanie. So if we struggle to make those changes and we're stuck in that fixed mindset, guess what? We're going to be where we are, and pushing forward is going to, yes, Deontay, Katrina, and Rita, absolutely. Those have been definitely instances where we may have had to make a humongous, a, a gigantic change in the way that we know life. Hey, Natasha, I'm so happy you're here. Hey, I'm going to make a quick plug because I forgot to do it last time, and I need y'all to know this young lady here. So on my IG, there's a young lady named Natasha Davis, who, if you are in the nonprofit arena, or if you have a business and you're looking for or how to get into grants or receive a grant, become a recipient of, and do your application, that's your girl. All right, Deontay said, I'm a survivor of Katrina and Rita. There are a few of us on here that are Katrina and Rita survivors. So we understand that shifts that we have to make. If we don't make them, guess where we would be? Not here. Change is mandatory, whether we like it or not, right? And so in the growth mindset, shifting over to that one, this is the mindset that we all have to strive to have. You're welcome, Natasha. When you have this mindset, you're more open to change. You're more open to progress, and we have the capacity to learn, the capacity to be stretched. We understand that progress is important, and we understand that every time we make a shift, we go to another level. We get closer to what we desire. We get closer to achieving our goals. And when we talked about, absolutely, Deontay, one thing that's constant in life is change. And when we talk about being able to make the shifts, it's not as much of a struggle. So when you think about water, right? I don't have it, well, closest thing I have, and don't judge me because I don't usually drink purified water, okay? Usually drink spring water, but this is what I have today. So when you think about water, right, and how it takes the shape of whatever container it's in, that's what a growth mindset looks like, right? That is able to flow and change, reshape, and no matter what container, this could be a glass, this could be a bowl. If I were to shake this, if I were to pour it, squirt this out, it's going to flow regardless. The only thing that stops it is a stopper or a dam. Otherwise, the water continues to flow. It continues to wind. It continues to go, really flow freely until it's guided somewhere, either by a path, by a container. Our mind has to be open that way, to be poured into, to be stretched. And also, when we have a growth mindset, we know that there's always room for improvement. Always. We're not perfect. We're not who we desire to be. We're not where we desire to be. So guess what we're still doing? We're still improving. Could I become a better speaker? Absolutely. Could I be a better comedian? Nah, maybe. I think I'm pretty funny, right? But in every area of our lives, there's always room for improvement, always room for us to grow, always room for us to find what can put me a little bit above where I'm at right now. Even if it's 1%, we still understand that there's room to grow. Then we have negative mindset versus positive mindset. So the negative mindset says, well, first of all, thinks for the most part, the overarching thought process is feeling powerless or feeling lack of control. Hey, Ebony, I'm in your lane. Negative mindset gets stuck thinking thoughts that oppose what you actually want. And when we say that, it sounds like that could be anything, right? But we don't generally want bad things for ourselves, right? We generally want ourselves to succeed. We want to see us winning. We want to see us happy. We want to see us fulfilled. So thoughts that are in opposition to that, those are the negative thoughts. Those are the ones that say, I'll never be happy. I'll be lonely the rest of my life. Every time I get a job, there's always drama. Every relationship I'm in, they always leave me. That's an overarching, and not that every single thought that crosses your mind is negative. But when we talked about the definition, well, my definition of mindset. That's important because it's what you think the majority of the time. How your mind is processing things. Mary! Hey, my love. It's been such a long time. But the main way that your mind processes things. So if we're talking about a negative mindset, the majority of the time, it's a struggle to think that things will work out for you. It's a struggle to consistently think about your life going up and not down. You having more and not less. And so the positive mindset, right? People who have that mindset know that there are issues, there are flaws, there are negative things that come about, there are things that contradict what we even see. I mean, not what we see, but things that contradict what we feel. Yes, this has been a rough day. Oh, I have a story. Okay. So today I'm going to share this with y'all because sometimes we let people take us out of our character. Hey, Tiara, welcome. Kitty, cousin. So sometimes we let people take us out of our character. And it's a daily shift that I have to make in my mind to say, I'm going to say, God bless you anyway, right? We all have to do it. We have coworkers. Sometimes we have customers, especially if you work in customer service. It happens all the time. So today I say it's an amazing experience because I really did not feel moved either way by it. But I had a customer and I had just gotten to work. I might have been at work for 20, 30 minutes. And my first customer that came up and asked me a question, I was like, no, he asked me if we carried something. I was like, no, I don't believe we do. And I turned around to grab my phone so that I could tell him, give me a second and I'll check for you. And he was like, I'm pretty sure you do, you idiot. So my coworkers was like, what? So I'm not going to continue to address you if you're going to be disrespectful, right? That's the way I feel about it. So he walks off and then goes and looks for something. Now he comes back, walks back across the pharmacy super fast, and he says, that's why I found it. You retard. He's like, that's why you're stupid. You don't know anything. And I looked at what he had in his hand and I was like, that's not the right thing, but okay, sir, you have a good one. Be blessed. I love that. I love saying that on my job. I love telling people to be blessed. Have a blessed one. Oh my goodness. Enjoy your day. Thank you so much for stopping by. And I'm thinking, in reality, there was no reason for that kind of language being derogatory, name calling, none of that. If we had it, we had it. If we didn't, we didn't, right? But my mindset was just, And I'm not always super positive at work, but I strive to be light because people like him need that light. Who knows what he went through before he came to the store? Who knows what he went back to when he left the store? And my coworkers were like, I would have lost my job. I was like, it ain't that serious. He going through something. I don't know him. He doesn't know me. Guess what? That could have been a major roadblock in my day. It really could have changed the whole direction of the rest of my day. Was it challenging? Not this time, but sometimes it is challenging when somebody is not doing or saying the right things and you still have to say in your mind, you know what? It's not worth it. Or you know what? I'm going to take the high road. That's when it's really tough. Especially for those of us that struggle with the high road sometimes because we want to say what we want to say, when we want to say it, how we want to say it. I'm not really one of those people all the time, but I have my moments. And today wasn't that moment. I said I'd rather keep my job. God bless you. And so we realized that there's a perspective in the positive mindset to be able to see the upside, to be able to see the way forward, and to be able to see the solution. Hey, Nikki, have you ever been in a conversation with someone and you're like, the solution is simple, but all they can think about is the problem. All they can think about is where they're at right now, and they're stuck in that mindset. They're stuck thinking like, oh my God, like this is so hard. This is so tough. And you're like, it's a little tough, but there's a way out. There's a solution. Not necessarily because you think positive all the time, but because when your thoughts are toward progression, you're going to think about what's another way. This way didn't work. What's another way? There is another way. And so then we move on to the third set, which is scarcity versus changing or shifting from a scarcity to an abundance mindset. Definitely, Deontay, all the time. Allow the universe to keep speaking. I like that. That's different. Because it will. It will keep speaking for sure. So a scarcity mindset will believe that resources are limited and that we have to compete or take things from other people in order to get what we want. We know that's not true though, right? But that mindset will keep us stuck thinking that if you have, I can't have. If you're winning, I can't win too. Man, if you're at the top, then I must be number 3 because both of us can't be at the top. Isn't that, I mean, here's the thing. Even if that's the background that you come from, that just whether it's with your siblings, with your parents, like you have to compete all the time to get ahead or to get what you want. I'm here to tell you today that you can shift. You can shift. And you know why shifting is important? Because the world has too much abundance to stay stuck in scarcity mindset and scarcity thinking. You know when people say that you're poor or that you live in poverty, that's not always about the physical place where you live, but about your mindset. You can have a broke mindset. You can have a mindset that's like lacking. That's the word I'm looking for. The mindset of lack. Now, clearly, there are some things that are very visible, right? Man, I don't have a place to live right now, which can be very true. But guess what? If you're stuck saying, I'm poor, I'm homeless, I'm broke, I get paid minimum wage, guess where you'll be stuck? Being broke, being sad, making minimum wage. Whereas when you have an abundance mindset, you have a mindset of finding alternatives. Again, being solution oriented, right? You find ways to create opportunities for yourself and for others. right? When you have an abundance mindset, you're not just thinking about you and yours. You're thinking about, what can I do? What can I say? How can I help others? Oh, let's go back to scarcity mindset. People with a scarcity mindset struggle to give to others, especially when they can't see a return immediately or in the distance. But how does that work when it's the flip side? When you're dealing with someone with a scarcity mindset and you're in need and they have it and they won't give it, hands clenched tight. See, that's when we start thinking about, if we all thought a little bit more in the way of unlimited resources rather than there's a finite amount of resources, then each of us would definitely have more than we have. Does that make sense? And so when we know that things are unlimited, when we know that money is not limited, it's unlimited. When we know that people, manpower, unlimited. We know that on our jobs. So this is where I had that in my notes, right? So this is where it gets interesting, because on our jobs, we're taught competition. We're taught someone has to be above someone else. We're taught, well, if you didn't do this better than this person, you probably won't get the job. You won't get the position. Have you ever been in a position where you could have, chosen yourself for something, but you chose someone else who was more qualified than you? And then in turn, they chose you? Maybe not for the same position, but that's the thing about when you have an abundance mindset, your desire to give, and then your desire to give and your giving really touches people to want to give back if they also have an abundance mindset. You might be stretching that one if you're trying to talk to someone, or feeling like if you give to someone with a fixed mindset or with a scarcity mindset that they're going to get back. Unless they shift that mindset, that's a long shot. But for other people who have an abundance mindset, we want to pay it forward. That's the biggest thing about having an abundance mindset, paying it forward, because we know that whatever resources we have don't just belong to us. They belong to those around us too. Because when I succeed, you succeed, right? And then so as I come to a close, I just want to leave you guys with a few things when we talk about how do I shift my mindset. Because it's nice to know what the mindsets are and how we should, that we should shift it, but how? The first thing, and this is kind of my favorite thing, right, is you have to invest in your own personal development. I mean, that's just point blank. Reading the books, audiobooks if reading is not your thing. Pouring into yourself. Is your cup empty or full, right? Because if your cup is empty, then you have more than enough room to pour into you those things that maybe you feel like you're lacking in. Man, I'm not so positive, and I need to read some more positive material. I can't just be looking at the news all day, because that's not helping my mentality. Man, I need to be listening to more positive music. In my journey of personal development, I can't be too many hoes, If that's your thing, that's your thing. But for certain people, that might take them back somewhere where they don't need to be. So that might be something important for, to cut out things as well. As you're pouring into yourself, there are things that you'll have to remove out of the way so that your cup can be empty enough to fill up. And then also, along the same token, change your environment and change the people who are pouring into you. Everybody can't pour into you. Everyone's not equipped. Last time we talked about pouring from an empty cup. You can't. You have nothing to give. If you're struggling in your mind and you're struggling with your mindset, or you're not even working on it, or whoever you're talking to that's around you is not even working on their mindset. They're like, things aren't as they are. I'm not changing for nobody. Do you think that's who you need speaking into your life? No. That doesn't mean you cut them off and say, I'm not dealing with you, but that does mean I may have to limit my time with you. And we have to understand that when it comes to our personal growth and changing our mindset, before we can expect those around us to change, we have to be the change we want to see. And that starts with just getting started. Just making the decision that I can't keep thinking like this. But here's the other interesting part. How do we know that we need to make a shift in our thinking? I mean, we've talked about a few things. Are you feeling empowered in your thoughts? Or are you feeling like you have no power? Those things don't change if we don't know they need to change. So that means we also have to change the rooms that we're in. Man, that's so powerful, because we get stuck in the same circles, the same rooms, the same cliques, the same crowds of people who are doing what we're doing. So if we're growing, or if we have the desire to grow, that also means that we got to level up the people we have around us, our circle. And then also we have to have a mentor, right? Somebody who's invested in your growth that you can be accountable to. Accountability is a major when you're trying to make any kind of lasting change. How do you know if you've grown or where you've grown if you're never accountable to anybody for where you are and where you're trying to go? Mentors are super important. You got to pick the right one, though. Everybody is not mentor material. Some people are good at talking and at listening, but they're not good at guiding. They've never been in your shoes. They've never been where you are. They can't help you get through your situations. So choose them wisely. And then lastly, monitor your thoughts and change your language, right? So we talked about scarcity mindset versus an abundance mindset. What are you speaking into your atmosphere? What are you speaking into your own life? Because you will have what you say. And my girl Ebony appeared the other day, yesterday, I think it might have been last week. She was talking and she said something that she had to stop for a second and be like, okay, no. She said trying. She said, I'm getting rid of trying out of my vocabulary. And then she said, because what I'm trying to do, I did it again. Right? So we have to be able to listen to ourselves, not only the thoughts we say, the words that come out of our mouths. And when we do that, make corrections. It's not all going to change overnight. We talked about that. Exactly, Deontay. Speaking into the universe. That's what we're doing. Every time we have something that comes out of our mouth, not only into the universe, we're speaking back into ourselves. Some of us know anytime you say I am, you're declaring that over your life. And so we just have to be more mindful of what we're saying, how we're saying it. But even before it comes out of our mouths, we've already meditated on it in our minds. So that's where the change has to start. Well, I do hope that you guys have gotten some good information today. I definitely enjoyed the conversation. I appreciate everyone who contributed. And of course, I cannot let you guys leave without mentioning my ebook. If you have not yet purchased it, go ahead to boldvibesllc.com under shop and purchase my ebook. It's called You Are Enough, Rebuilding Your Confidence After Divorce. Always make this plug. You don't have to be divorced to have to rebuild your confidence. But guess what? Any person who's been in a relationship, who's felt like they've lost themselves, who need to figure out how to regain their confidence. These talks that we're having every week, little ways that you can be building your confidence, little ways that you can be shifting and growing so that you're a more confident person in your personal life, in your business life, on your job. We all need it. We all need that confidence. I look forward to talking with you guys again Thursday night, same time, 10 p.m. Eastern. I'll post a flyer probably tomorrow about the topic of discussion, and I look forward to seeing y'all in a few more days. Love y'all. Have a good one.